What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about regarding DWAC and PHUN stock. Both of these stocks are up huge in the last couple of minutes of the market. DWAC even got halted for the last 9 minutes of the market until close, and they're both up big in after hours as well. Let's take a look at the charts. First of all, you can see DWAC, which we'll look at first, ended up dipping initially on this news just a touch, and it ended up from the lows, moving up about 30 or 41.86% to the highs of 52. It's bounced off of $50 to the downside a little bit. So now it is currently sitting at $46, and it was up 25% from the lows that it reached on this initial bar when this news first came out. And PHUN also has been doing incredibly well in a sympathy move with DWAC. It is up about, it got up to a 27% gain at the highs when it hit 366, and now it is currently sitting at a 16% gain, just about around $3.34. So both of these stocks up big on this news. The news, it has yet to be determined if this news is actually good or bad, but here it is. Essentially, it's that Trump's social media venture is seeking to raise another $1 billion. And this, obviously, there are some pros and cons to this, right? The pros are that TMTG, Trump Media and Technology Group, is going to have a lot more money with which to operate and to develop the true social media platform. So certainly they could make a better platform that will attract more users with this extra money and market it better, right? So there is some upside to this, but also it's going to be diluting a bit of the existing shareholders. So we will talk about that also. But basically, I'll just read off the headlines from this article first. So former President Donald Trump's new social media venture is seeking to raise up to $1 billion by selling shares to hedge funds and family offices. TMTG, or Trump Media and Technology Group, already stands to receive $293 million if the deal to list through DWAC is completed, which I expect it will complete. So that's already happened, right? That's what happened way back when DWAC first started trading. That $293 million was decided to be sent to TMTG in exchange for part ownership in the company. So that's when DWAC first started trading. That's already there and done. They've already got the $293 million essentially secured as long as the deal is completed. And that deal initially valued Trump Media and Technology Group at $875 million. But now Trump Media is seeking to raise an additional $1 billion. So they're seeking to raise more than the entire company was initially valued at. And that would then value their company at close to $3 billion to reflect the recent rally in the share price, right? Obviously, investors flocked to this talk, to DWAC and PHUN, as soon as they were available for trading, right? Well, PHUN had been available for long before, but as soon as it was confirmed that DWAC was tied to Trump, investors flocked to this talk, and PHUN as well, because it has had ties to Trump in the past. However, the deal went through before the share price had risen, right? Before it was clear how much interest there was in this stock. So now Trump is going to try and capitalize on some of that interest and try to raise some additional capital to run his new company with. So Digital World shares were valued at $10 each in the deal initially. And Trump Media is now looking to secure a so-called private investment in public equity, a PIPE deal, okay? And these are important. We have looked at these on the channel before. They're essentially instances where investors are offered the opportunity to invest in something early and oftentimes at a discount, and their shares will then be locked up for a certain period of time. Eventually, they'll be released. Oftentimes, during the release of those shares, the stock will drop quite a bit because a bunch of shares are all of a sudden available for trading and people may want to liquidate their positions, especially if the stock has gone up. But that's something to worry about in months or years whenever these PIPE shares are released, if this deal even goes through. And that would value Digital World shares closer to their recent price, around $40. Okay, so this PIPE deal, if it ends up going through, will start valuing the shares around $40, and Trump would be able to raise more capital because the shares are worth much more. So this would result in a much greater dilution of existing DWAC investors. Obviously, someone would have to be diluted, right? Because more shares are being issued in exchange for more capital being handed over to the company, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Because currently the company and the share price is almost just trading off of hype, right? It was valued at a certain amount when the deal was announced at $875 million, and all that's changed is a bunch of people have demanded shares of the stock and driven up the stock price. This would actually start to give more of a justifiable fundamental valuation to the stock price if more capital flowed into the company. So if it was able to raise $1 billion of capital, then it would be more justifiable for the stock price to actually remain this high on a fundamental level, not just on a hype-based or supply and demand type of way. So PHUN, once again with PHUN, I will briefly just touch on this because I did want to address it as well. I know a lot of people are invested in it. It is moving up off of sympathy from this announcement. There's nothing actually directly tying PHUN and DWAC together yet. It's only rumored and potentially just thought of as a likelihood that PHUN will be working with Trump and True Social, because they have worked with Trump's campaigns in the past. So it's very possible that they will end up working with DWAC or with True Social and TMTG in the future, but it's not confirmed yet. So they are just moving up off of sympathy. But it is notable that the PIPE deal, if it goes through, will dilute some shareholders, right? So obviously, some shareholders will be diluted, and the way they're going to calculate the price for the PIPE deal is sources have said, at least, that the shares may be valued on a 20% discount to their 10-day VWAP, volume weighted average price. So you can actually look at the VWAP if you want. If you want to edit the studies, you can click Edit Studies right here, type in VWAP, and you'll get the VWAP. You can actually see for yourself what it will be and click OK, and then you can see over the past 10 days, what is the average VWAP? Well, it's the average of this purple line right here. And if you wanted to do the calculation, I'm sure you could. It's probably around here, somewhere around $50. It looks like maybe closer to 40. But that's how you calculate the VWAP. You can actually do it on any brokerage that offers you the option to add studies. So that's what you can do if you're interested in calculating the VWAP for yourself. It really doesn't matter that much if you're just a holder of the stock, what the VWAP is, unless you're actually interested in buying into this PIPE release of shares. So the sources of this information also requested anonymity because the matter is confidential. So this did actually just come from some sources who are anonymous. We don't know who they are, or we do know that they got some of this information at a show when they were touting this PIPE deal, right? So an investment firm was explaining the PIPE deal to a lot of potential investors. That's where this information come from, but the sources themselves have requested to be kept anonymous. So we don't actually know who they are. And, potentially there's some incorrect information in here, right? This story just broke. It just came out. But I will say that DWAC stock is certainly getting a lot of attention. You can already see on Google Trends, a ton more people are looking for DWAC. Now, obviously, this deal has the potential to be good or bad, right? If the shareholders don't like being diluted, then it might not be the best thing. But overall, I think it is a pretty good thing that they're able to raise some additional capital. We'll see how we react to $50. And if we can break past it again. We did very briefly. We hit 52, but then we bounced off and are now sitting around $46 with DWAC. And with PHUN, we bounced down a little bit as well. We're now around $3.30. So hopefully we'll be able to get back up above 50, but we have yet to see what shareholders, once they really hear about it, are going to think of this news, right? They could either be happy or they could be mad, but you can already see that on StockTwits, DWAC has moved up to the number 2 trending stock, and it was not even on this list this morning, right? DWAC was not on this list at all, but it is already at the number 2 trending position, and this news has been out for less than an hour. On apewisdom.io, DWAC is still fairly low. If you scroll down, I think it was, well, it's up a little bit further now, so it was at, there we go, 36, right there. So it's up 22 spots, up 70% mention-wise already, so already some people have started discussing this, and we'll see where it's at tomorrow in the live stream, right? It's at 36 right now. I expect it will be much higher now that it has spiked up a bit. And it'll be very interesting to see how investors react to this news come the actual trading day, right? I'm very curious to see if we'll maintain these levels. We might end up reverting back to a lower price because, once again, this is diluting shareholders. And initially, it may have been very exciting for people to hear this news that TMTG was raising an additional $1 billion, but potentially, since there will be more shares available, it may actually be kind of a detriment to some investors. Some investors may view it that way. We'll have to see what's going on. I think that over the long term, it's certainly a good move, and it makes a lot of sense. If a company can raise a lot of capital, then it certainly should if it thinks it's going to be able to do a better job at returning value to the shareholders over the long term. I think that makes a lot of sense. Over the short term, it might not be the best thing if you are diluting the stock, but oftentimes I think companies have to focus on the long term if they really want to impress shareholders over a while and not just have pumps in their stock price if they want long-term growth. So it depends on what you're in DWAC for. If you're in it for a pump or if you're in it for long-term growth, then you might have differing opinions about this news. And obviously, as this news becomes more apparent and there are more articles discussing it and more actual information other than anonymous sources saying that there is PIPE deal going through, we will have more information on the channel. So if you enjoyed this video and appreciate this news coming out pretty darn quickly, then feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much what I've got for you. And once again, I will point out, this is not financial advice. I'm not giving away any financial advice in this video. This is just my opinion. I'm just reading off some of the news to you guys and breaking it down and giving you guys my opinions on it. But it's not my condoning of buying or selling the stock. Not financial advice in any way, shape, or form. But other than that, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.